is really interesting. But here Geshe-la tried to explain the difference between the worldly kind of perception and perception from the point of view of the Madhyamika. So from a worldly point of view, it's just kind of as it is renowned in the world. If you have an apple, that's truly an apple. It exists in reality. If you have a reflection of an apple, that is not truly an apple. So there's an object that is truly there, that is the apple, and then there's an object that is not truly there, which is the reflection of the apple. So from the point of view of Madhyamika, we say even what in the main sense is the apple, even that is not truly there. Well, let's see, how is that true? How can that be false? If it's not truly there, it has to be false. So therefore, we have to see one solid apple. There's one solid apple. So it's a round, solid apple. So when we look at this one solid apple, it is made of different parts. We can actually literally cut it into 4 pieces, or we can just take those 4 parts and say, these are many, these parts are many. So is this one solid apple? So is each of those parts the apple? Is all of those parts the apple, or does the apple exist separate from those parts? Right? So this is therefore we do not find therefore such an apple. So there's nothing that can be found. There's no apple among its parts that can be found. And with regard to the body, your question is in particular. So you look for something there, and you do not find, for example, the body. Of course, Geshe-la said there are different types of body, but taking the type of body here where you have head, you have 2 arms, you have 2 legs, right? So what is now the whole body? You're talking about the entire body. What is the entire body? Is it the arm, and you touch the arm and you pull the person away? Is that the entire body? No, it's not. That is not the entire body. Is it just the upper part that is the entire body? Is it a lower part? Is it something else that is the entire body? So we usually say, oh, the entire body. We speak about the entire body. We think about the entire body. What is actually there? So what is there actually something that can be found to be the entire body? So this is explanation in terms of body.
this letter to Howard, Kambashi, Josie, the Josie do say Josie the Canadian, combated Rebe, Kangi Pong later, and it did not Kambashi, the Pondiji, the not Mahimbi, the Josie is in Shindaji 2 ways.
So Geshe-la says, another example, here previously, an easy example, which would be the table. So think of a table which has 4 legs and 1 surface. So 5 parts to a table. What is the table? Is it one of those legs? Is it the surface? Is it all of those together, or does it exist separately?
My question is, he mentioned that what is to be true is to be found. Mm-hmm. So you have to find something to be it's true. Mm-hmm. So he mentioned, I hear that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So my question is, everything that I found is true. Like, so he said it's a self, so I don't find the self, so it's not, it can't be true. So something to be true I have to found. But what I have to found, okay, there is a table there, so I see it as a part, or I see it full, but what I have to found to be true. Does that make sense? Okay, we can forget it.
다 고쳐하고 다 컨디션에 가르나 다시 당긴 기회소야지 가르나 포슈 데모네 여나 다가 쟤는 예고레스 다 예고를 칸 예고레스 칸 예고레스 다 쪽지기 지키는 문에 여다가 문에 여나 그 예고를 예라 칸 예고레스 다 쪽지기 강바제 지 강디 인다마이 나야디다 칸 예고를 내다 문에 여바
Figure for it.
Jason, Josie said that Josie ever. 그 조지 제가 전에 아니 신다지라나 띵예수를 말아. 그때로 조지 제가 조지니에 버리고 구슈체는 구슈니에 버려.
He's not saying, if you look for the table, you have to find the table. It's not okay to find something else.
Yeah, but I look for I.
So you have to look for I, you have to look for I, and what you need to find is the I.
As he said, it's a reflection, so I cannot, the truth is not the reflection. I have to find something, like I have to find the apple. I can't look for the reflection because it's a reflection, I can't find it. So, how I found it, like, what is, okay, forget it.
그래서 디도 아니면 지대디 라다로 지대디 배차 도로 제가 가서 라이가 타자 타바 타자를 주통 주의지 주문에를 주통해지 다 지대원도 제는 주문에 바게디 주문에를 지금 말에 주저도 좀 차대요 제가 타바 요새도 주도 삼 다 주도 삼네 주디 제가 줘나 로 빠르지 바게 치를 주는 제가 줘나 주 많이 해보지 주랑 말아 요 말아 가려라 그래 타버더라 아니 주체가 전에 주 말아보지 타버라나 다디 주만이 벌어 다기 통대 주만이 다 차로 다 주유서들라 주체가 저래 제가 좋아하는 힙하게 두스야 렌셔도 디 주제 되어라 디 대바 차로도 어디랬다
Like you gave example again, just the mundane, worldly example, just the worldly. So from the worldly point of view, when you have a rope that appears to be a snake, and when you have an actual snake, the actual the rope that appears to be a snake, right? That's not an actual snake. When you go to the place where the snake appears to be, and you switch on the light, what you find is not a snake. You find a rope, right? So there really is no snake, right? That's a worldly, a mundane, ordinary example. Whereas if there is an actual snake, and you switch on the light, you find an actual snake, which is really there. So this is just an example, a worldly example.
아니 다 전행제나 그래도
So any other discussions, any other questions, any suggestions?
인지미지 고등도 거예요 말에 가리라는 시간에 부모 다이 남시 다이 다마이 임비초마 임비초 가리라는 되게 이내 기시야 미세기 고등 인지미지도 거야면도 고등 세워이나 부모를 못하되 다 요래 등이 돼 이 뒤에나 아니 뒤 경쟁 할도 양나면은 부모를 못하되 다 요 말했으니 경쟁시에 돼
So Gisela would like to hear your input, your opinion with regard to does the person exist as a separate entity from the person, as one that has each one of them exists, etc. as a collective. So you could kind of voice your opinion whichever way you want, according to whichever kind of sequence you can start with anything, but Gisela suggests maybe how do you feel about the person exists as separate from the five aggregates, as of a different nature from the five aggregates? Any opinion, any suggestion on that?
I transmit what I understood about the discussion with the table and snake on, like, when I regard to my question if I exist or not, and this I, and for example, a feeling or emotion appears, and I observe this, I know, like, I observe this feeling, so I think, no, this feeling is not possible to be I, and then there's an instance who observe, okay, there's an instance who is observing and like I make a change of no, this is not existing, this is not existing, and this is not existing, so I don't find anything, and like I cut everything and look and look and look, and in the end there's not existing anything, just one observer, but from my logic, from a logic conclusion could be also this observer, like I don't feel it now, but also this observer is not existing, but I'm not able to feel this now. But what in the end crosses, like cross life, if nothing exists? Like the missing of what
goes from one life to the next.
나 그런 쉬어야 가스나 다 여보 고추이나 메나 하고 메스라 같은데 나 기실래 지식이야 될라데네 다 코라 살로시다나 코라 랑기 셈델라 페나 저와도지야 셰바지야 깨바이나 다 저와딩아 말에 이제 시부도 나 말레스 나랑기 저와레스 저와디야 파다게기야 아 셴바지 유여버서르시 난것도 다 딘데웨 틱파 다긴 저와델라 파 다긴기 직 셰바스나 다가로 다긴 틱이 디야요 말에 다지 가르다신 세네 다지 내야 가요 말에 다지 가로 셰바 파다긴 디야요 말에
셰바를 따댕이
셰바가 파다딩이 디야요 말에 다두시 파다딩이 디메나 가요 말에 다 타마타마실라 다시 저와디야 말에 셰바디야 말에 셰바 파다딩이 디야 말에 다르지 가야 메나 가디 메나 다 개원이 개원 봐도 되는 데 가르레스 개원진의 개원실라도 도 되는 게 뭐디 가르레스 그거 제가
그렇다네
但是他又想，这个观察者应该也是不存在的，可是他内在不会导致到这个观察者不存在，他没有这种观察者不存在这种感受。但是因为如果说按照老师刚刚讲那个神跟因为因此来看的话，那这个观察者照道理来讲应该是不存在的。好，那如果连这个观察者还不存在的话，那到底是谁在那个轮回当中从前世来到今生，然后又从今生去到来世。
다디지디 전에 아니 가서 그래 코랑기 다 성타야디 성야고 따야래 다 이능이라 주어디 레라 딘디체나 내가 매버 차주도스 좋아 아니 내가 매버 차나 아니 교황아마 이 용에 치만줘야지 간절해스 얘는 주어디 레발라 아니 나디 아니 딘디체와 세와이나 나 민두 세딩에 다 장어체 다 장어 장양지 제네 주어디 레나 땜바요 다 장어 변에 가만한 따라와 가만 제가 다 민두스 아니 가요레스 주어디 땅발레 차상다 가면 예 타치 다나 통해민도 아니 나 단대치랑 나 요래라나 간데스 요래스 나바이나 타치에 야가요래 디지도 전에 얘라 단다 거랑기 아니 용서지 계기도 용서디 다래미 두스다와 다 디나신 마신 철사들라 마시다 슈를 랍쇼그레디 단다 람나티기도 배는 마 라바이나 마자비나 마가와예 자블링딜레요레 자갈레요레 다름살레요레 캄바티나레요레 디네 텔레네 미토 디칸레요다 딜레디 이엔데 타고해미도 마파게 뒤에 도바거레기와 다 텔레가리도 돌로도 안 돌로게 나오로 수고 루고 샤 밀로와 닌다 수비기 차시 아니 세점 리즌이 노아 다 하고데 되게 들어왔다 디기디 레네 다다마레스 용서자 마이바 레네 차상 다마레스 타체 두부데 와 안 데사마세 알링엘라 디디 초와디 다마레스에디 아니 마이비 금zenkarre 금zen디 다다 세우 차마스 와 금zen치 그 아니 신에 아니 가서 야교 디카나 디기지시나
So, in response to your question, is saying, well, you definitely thought through this well, you've given it some thorough consideration. So, being able to say, well, I cannot find the self, I cannot find an I, which is something that also therefore goes on not limited to I, there's nothing that goes from one life to the next. But in order for that question, for that kind of issue, to be investigated or to be dealt with in a more effective way, in order for you to be able to say, I cannot find anything, you should look even more thoroughly. So Krishna is saying, if you look for something in a room, if you only check half of the room, you cannot decide that it doesn't exist in the entire room. So it's good to totally check out everything that makes up you. So from your own experience, by way of your own experience, you should consider what is the I. So I exist in this world. You exist in this world. Geshe-la or Geshe-la exists in this world. He exists in this room. He is in this room. He is in the place where he sits. Geshe-la is saying, well, I need to look to the right of myself or to the left of myself to see whether I'm there. So really, I only need to look in the place where I'm sitting right now. And then if I look at the place where I'm sitting right now, if I look at the clothes that I'm wearing, of course I need to look underneath my body, go through each part of the body. What is the other? What is the eye? Is my heart, my lung, my stomach, my arms, my legs, that's the eye. And so everything all the time. And then coming to the awareness, which is clear and knowing. The clear and knowing experience in mind. And going through that and checking, does that kind of mind, does that exist? Is there any mind? Is there something that is the question? And if you investigate really well, why isn't that? Why is your feeling not you? What is the reason? So you need to also find the reason why none of these parts is the I. Come to some kind of conclusion by this. Not just deciding this feeling, etc. is not the I. Come to a first-hand conclusion as to why feeling is not I. As why these parts are not the I.
디나시 초아디 마이 수부디 마이네 딜레 로스 요초르바 딜레 로스 요레 생이 뭐 부여르다 지선다 디 매버디 시오로니라 타지오르바
So Geshe-la said, likewise, so for body, there's so much more that is a person. So it's not just those. So there may be something else. If you come to a conclusion that the feeling is not the I, and the body is not the I, there could be something else. Is there any reason that can you see the reason of that?
Yeah, thank you for the answer. I was thinking about this. If the conclusion is that every moment is a new moment and everything is like, the reason for I don't see any I because every moment is something different. Is it possible that there is anything that cross one moment to the next moment? Like
It stays the same.
yeah.
Nikelati Lenjana Tushina Kutipo Lenja Sampangodu. Anichi, the young condition did on Dene condition, Pena Tanda Dame Vicumzendi, Harsna Tadam, Pomboda Karina, Kishiki, Gudu Res. Kishiki Gudu, Yana, Takishi Amana Kayo, but Kishi Chimalaya, Kishi Chimalaya, Kishi Mamalaya Maris. Yina Yanka condition and the Karisna, Kissing Amana Kayo, but Kishi Chimalaya, you would choose Yorobes. Yorobes, the choose Yona, Kissing Amana, Kishi Chima, Kishi Sumaras or Kishi Maji Pasula, you would choose Yona, Shatu.
다디 저여 좋던 식벌에 답에나 기진 갈라고다 디 백인이 유대버와다 통당의 신체나 되게 랩내 진이 단다버도 유대버 차대요. 다는 세일들이 니 기지 가마 치마 니 기지 알을 잡아치나 다 백이 단다 주지지스 조사이나 가버 주주 내도 기지 주주 다 기지 주주디 디 백이 대기네 유대 뭐보디 디레스 레벨 라비오레 랍데디 카니디레 기지 담보기디레 니바이디레 숨바디레라나 야 딜레 로스요레 지부지견체 안 디레네 마레 안 딜레 로스요 마레세 타체나 신네 디디 쳤대니 대기네 다다보도 유대 뭐보디 요 마레베스 안 지거디 신네 레프와 얘네디 타체서 비체 렌치 규차로 대기디다 다그 기진같이 제지다 기진 가서 경기 초바다 아니 뒤녀비 초바스라서 다다 기진가 치는 제에도 경기 초바스에 되지 아니 다다 뒤녀비 초바라나 데이터 투부스오르다 주시시 두스통데디 데브트지나 다기시티 데브트지나 안 데브레스 나고레 데브티리베 레디리베 데레 로스 데브세 주요레 시티 인 레디 데마이 바타체 안 데레 로스 데브세 지메 바타체나 신의 기금쟁이에서나 아니 신의 아니 데비오 마르베스 대기디다 지부지게 하지 아니 라버도 단다 기시 쿠랑기 디타 오스 타치에 두고도나 디르네 가수를 품비 초바다 차시다 지네 아니 마임바다 데르된 신도 매바데 타치에 두고도나 단계를 콘도사서지라 성다다 로 수수 마가서지라 콘도사서지라 야나 미디 독자 시부레샤 삼네 마가서지라 성단 미디 시세디 두자두 시세디 그 품비 초바 차시르레네 두자 말에 아니 그 시바 기지 다 시바라라즈라나 야 콘도라나 두자도 차기와 야 콘도데르레네 기지 마체도나 레네 두자 말에 델레 된신도 두자 민두 제산 델레 체도나 두자 민두 신타지 제다로와 타지네 아니 콘도 마테스 마가와데 추르데스 두고도나 타제당데 어즈 디기유베 데레 아니 신의 기지 니발라 아니 어나타 간테 요레 시에데 인티바디 비다가 차그레
So basically, Geshe-la's response to your question is similar to the explanation he gave earlier to Brother. So with respect to one moment being different to another moment, so Geshe-la responded by again investigating. So he picked up this little piece of notepad. He said, imagine it's a book. Right? He held a book in his hand. So think of a book. So this book has been in this room for 1 hour since we started this class, let's say 1 hour. So there are different moments. This 1 hour is composed of 60 moments. 60 moments as in like 60 minutes. So the 60 moments. So we say it's the same book. We say it's the same book that's behind it. But we should now engage in investigation. In analysis, is it really the same? What is the book? Instead of going about the parts, here we look at the continuum of a book that has been here for 1 hour. Is the book the first moment? Is it the second moment? Is it the third moment? Is it all of those moments? Is it one of those, or does it exist separately? Can it be found? And if we cannot find, we cannot say the book, that book that is there is the first moment, it's not the second moment. We cannot say it's any of those. We have to say it is actually not there in reality. So here, therefore, this was explained in the text that I was talking about yesterday, the illumination of the thought. When you look at the continuum of body, mind, and words. So the continuum of the body and mind aggregates, that is not the self. So here, the continuum of this book, former moment, later moment, that is not the book. We say so, that is not the book. Now, if you look at the simultaneous collection, as in like the parts that exist at the same time, without looking at the moments in time, if we look at the book we hold in our hand right now, what is the book? Is it any pages? Is it any cover? Is it all the pages in the cover that one should make, or does it exist separately from each of them? So therefore we cannot find a book, we cannot find anything. So then we can come to a decision that there's in reality nothing that should be fine. And we should now take this to the person we get angry with. personally see as bad, see as negative. So we look at the person, that what we perceive as bad in that person, maybe their anger in their own continuum. So when we look at the anger, we think of what is that bad anger? What is it that's bad? What is it that's bad about that? Is it the first moment of the anger? Is it the second moment of the anger? The third moment? Does it exist as a collection of anger, or is it separate from them? So therefore we come to a conclusion that the badness, that evilness, cannot be found. The anger, the evilness cannot actually be found, because when we look for it, to find something to poison, we won't be able to find it. And if as a result of that investigation, and as a result of not being able to find something, we're less angry, then there's less anger, because the object of the anger, there's no something to be angry with. So then this investigation has had some effect. So in conclusion to what Yeshua said, we need to investigate how do things exist, how do they actually
你没有办法找到你所升起的那个具体的那个反应。那暂停时呢的澄清，如果有下降的话，表示你刚才对于所谓的在运体的整体、运体的支分以及运体整体之分之外，就没有那个人的这个领悟呢是有稍微有点理解的，这个时候才能够进入到下一步的思维。
什么就现在对？
有其他的朋友
Are there any other comments, anything else, any questions, any comments?
This might be just a kind of a question related to.
Excuse me, sir. Can you wait? Can you wait 1 second?
好，其实我学过一阵子，可是对我来讲，我觉得最困难的，我在想的时候，当然我可以知道我的手不是我，我的腿不是我，甚至现在可以换心脏，所以我知道我的心脏不是我。我在想的时候，那个我似乎是在我身体里头，可是又跟我的身体没有关系。那可是你说跟我的心有没有关系呢？就说是不是我的心？其实有些时候我会希望我可以专注一点，可是我的心就是不听话，所以我从这里我可以去想说，其实我跟心应该是不一样。那对我最大的困难是，我觉得那个我是在我身体之外，就身心之外的。这听起来有点像大外道，可是我知道一些理路去说，其实没有身心之外的我。可是问题是，这个鬼就没事就跑出来。我不知道，我今天早上想了一下，可是我没有决定的答案。可是我想要请问一下葛西拉，是不是有可以给一些建议？
지난 그런 게 오미크론 아티스 로중장이요. 지난 그런 오미크론 아티스 로중장이요. 지난 딘드 그런 게 라바딩아 말에 강바딩아 말에 단나데 니 제거로야 유바 인상 아니 니야 나 말에 디 하고 이제 이내야 그런 게 강의 체주디 그런 게 천낭라 나 세바디 수고 낭로라 유바체 이내야 수고 단제와 요래 아니 진짜 이나 랑디 쌤 나르베 디상로 당용도 강의사 그런 양양 계승아 쌤这句读那图吧伊呢，但看着牙个月啊，看第三个样样当个有吧影响，俺的什么嘞？你看样是不下过去读，伊那样，看给刚一点些，看给我那长我写吧伊那人嘛，俺是吧的，什苏国堂什嘞老鼠有嘞，顶住南去语林部讲的堂东，只有把全部去掐松，你。即当悲惨然后啦，给嘴巴贵让光的讲用营长的嘴巴贵让下过去的，人家嘴巴看这贵呢，如果俺的懂这着不？sem 旅堂 sem 来老鼠约白，俺是把你懂这着不？悲惨老白告诉样样咦，这吞松啥？因为这个啦，跟那肉吧经常肉呢，他都啥的开始呢，被他的讲呢，他都懂这的，他都啥的想。Listen,
her question, the lady's question is that she studied the Dhammic review for some time now. She's familiar with the reasonings, and she understands that her arm is not the self. She understands her leg, her heart, etc. That those are not the self. but there's this question she has in accordance to how it appears to her, according to her own experience, that does the self have a connection to the body or not? And then if she thinks about it like the self, the mind itself, if she concentrates on a specific object, she can come to see that mind, that focusing mind, that itself is also not the self. But if she's really honest, she feels that the self exists as separate from mind and body. It exists as separate. So she knows this is not in accordance with the Buddha's kind of explanation on that, and she knows that in contradiction with that kind of explanation, but nonetheless she feels very strongly that the self exists as separately. Not only does she feel that it exists separately, there's a sense that the self is a kind of demon. It's a kind of a demonic kind of force that gives her a lot of trouble. So therefore she requests Geshe-la, she asks him, please help me to kind of figure this out. What is actually left there?
디지디스네 파게 풍불이 로스 유버체 예 수비 나로 디바치를 유버타고 전환디 기시고 디지디 녀라 코란기 딜라 동제스 민다 초마 그래서 디 오늘 레 말에 단단 것을 힘주지거라 오늘 레 민도너와 아니 신경이 고 동제 넣쳐라 저 단단 칭다 지주라 디지디스네 아니 이날 코란기 천왕시에봐마도 이 금생시에봐서 디낭로의 유비 금생 금생에는 천왕다 정신 유예샤샤기 천왕대로 알하버도 예수부 예셈 시디 딜다 보쟁이 로수지 설거도 먼저 예수부 예셈 시디 수부는 셈을 로수 마치 설거도 아니 예수부 말아원자 예셈 가르치는 거랑 라와네 뭐 저랑 주도 요 말이라디 딜로 원규진인기 나지 로가지 차기도 이내 뒤 전화를 봐. 다음은 김생신남 유나 김생 거거래. 김생매나 어나 어느 저 전화 가리려버디 대발이 럽도 그러বে. 디 럽토나는 직직어로. 김생 마토나 인지민지 켈렘 거야 믿어 알리탄다 가서 봐. 내가 지링라. 무슨 로스르네 라 내가 지링라 가서 로스르네 근데 나한테 왜 처체 먹어지? 왜 처체 먹어지?
So, Aisha's response is, well, there's a sense that there's an I that exists different from the act, so different from mind and body. But still, it seems to be somehow to be connected to the mind. So, first of all, Gil is saying that you're not allowed to say it's like a demon. Why? Because you haven't decided whether it exists or not. So if you haven't decided whether it exists or not, you're not allowed to say it is a demon or not. You're not allowed to decide on that. So this, first we have to see whether it exists or not. And then you cannot call this kind of something else. But anyway, what you've been describing is a kind of feeling. It's like how it appears to you. A feeling and like the way it appears to you. So this is your explanation about the self. But you haven't given any reason for why is that. So in general, we talk about my body, we talk about my mind. So there's an appearance, there's a sense of an owner of mind and body. But this is just a sense that there is such an owner. So we need to rely on reason, we need to rely on reasoning why there is such a separate self if it didn't exist. So just a feeling is not enough. And if you cannot see any reason, well, you don't need to take any position. You don't have to fall into the kitty in this case. You can just kind of keep it neutral without having any position.
안디가는 낭추이다 내추 기지셰로 낭추이들다 지워디 당샤요를 수수기 상당로 지라네 바이가시에 가와난 것도 근 지워디 당샤요 단다 기지시주리 단다 때는 최고 인상 고랑기 철수 때는 최니 수르치질라바이나 남로를 요바 차르기도 기지시기도 다딜도 지단다 가줄로라 디차다 디마차르게 요마레 거리에 차르기래 이내 단다 무슨 따고야디 균댕기 나란수기 나가 시대기 차단들 따고 가라 디지디전에 가시기 라기도 나시에 닝낭도 요바도 차르기도 스탠들라기도 니에치나 디 균댕기 철수 말해디 아니 나 기지시디 말라 가부종송 말라 야부지송라디 서와지들 리거 닝거도들라 가나다 디 서와지 리거를 마도 이내 나디 닝낭도 요바 차와이나 가데 차고 배나 다대체가 나 강만나도 요바 차르기도 아니 덴지 디강로 예바 차르기도 디차르와 인상 걔는 뭐 주의 된다 결랑기 아니 예초라 나버베 아니 고랑기 예초라 더가디기 와라 차르기도 디인디 근dengi charju nang lo nga di ning nang da chawa ina nge gang da go yore nge ye lo wa yore nge go wa lo chuba yore din charju mi ro 안 잘. 지성이 디 근dengi charju 말해 쟁이다.
So this is now going into the explanation of how phenomena appear. Like in the explanation before, when we mentioned this issue of how phenomena appear and how phenomena actually exist. So we ask you to kind of share your view of how the phenomena appear. So anyway, if we're going to the mode of appearance, how does something appear to you? So it appears as if the self was within you. So if you were to ask also, how does the self, where does the self seem to be located? So some people say that the self seems to be located in the heart. And Geshe-la is saying, is arguing, I don't think that is always the case. Geshe-la is saying it's not true that there's always a sense that the self is the heart. So of course there's a reason for saying so, because if something positive happens to us, it seems to be good for the heart, or it seems to hurt our heart. Geshe-la is arguing, if we were to have a sense that the self is always that which is in the heart, well, he says, as like for now, when I say the self is in the heart, so above me there's a roof, or there's like a ceiling, on my right side there's the Chinese lady, on my left side there's the other lady. So in the same way, if there was a sense that the eye is located in the heart, I would have to say above my heart is the head, below, above my eye is the head, below my eye is the intestine, or the intestine, on my right is my arm. So the self is located between the head and the belly. So that would be the absurdity, therefore. There's no sense that I'm surrounded by these different organs. So therefore, Geshe-la is arguing that even though there's sometimes a sense that the self is located in the heart, that sense is not always there, because we do not always have a sense that we're surrounded by these organs, by the head, etc. So if you have a reason, if you have any reason for what you were saying that the self exists separately, please share this reason.
因为我们在关了吗？没有。当然，刚刚给Geshe-la那个分析很好。可是我们在想的时候，当我说，我们的身和心，你可以看到，比如说，你可以在镜子上看到你的脸啊，你的四肢啊等等。那这个东西以现在我们可以想象，就是说，比如说你手受伤切掉，这不是，对不对？那可能头是一个可能性，对，可是问题是我在想我和我的头的时候，这个感觉非常不一样。我没有一个很仔细的理由去想这个事情。当然有一个是心，我刚刚提的说我不是心，不用书上的正理，我会觉得说我跟我的心是不一样的。我不是我的心的理由是说，我在想什么的时候，我的心其实不见得会听话。所以如果我是我的心的话，那我的心应该跟我的想法是就是它就跟我一致的，它不会有这种相异的走法。那么，所以显然就是这些色蕴和我的心都不是我的话，那么当然只有两种可能。一种可能是我不是真实存，就是这些东西都不是我，所以它不是像我想象那样真实存在。可是，我的比较大的问题就是说，它会不会有一个我根本看不到？我就是另外一种可能，就会有一个不是我的身，也不是我的心，可是你要我指出来，我好像又指不出来的那个我的理由当然就是从我既不是我的身，也不是我的心，所以有两种可能，可是我的心里叫出来的是另外那个看起来像鬼的那个东西。
咁你你前面比較所 좀 수고 나 말에 저디 나 라바체나 나 요래 이냥 강바체나 나 요래 이냥 고체나 나 요매다 하고 어디 거디 나 요매다 하듯이 아구나 인도 거디 이나 양롭스 람나 수고 나 말에 타지 두기래 생디 나 말에 기분 저디 참상데 난 직상으로 땅에 쌤 칸에 난게 쌤난 강상어디 난게 쌤 카라 니민도 디디 나디 쌤 말에 김sen 저디래 또또 람나 아니 디디 수보탕 쌤 나 말에 수보탕 쌤나 많이 봐이나 야매나 수 나디 된 오늘내 주라 요 말에 야매나 샘탕류 로수 나요리 이나양 디 그런 당한 이체 그런데 나 주고 좀 맡아봐 마도 그런 오늘 직요래 디도 또 그런시네 동제민디 다가 저디래 여봐지 이냥 주고 주야 요 말에 이냥 요래 수보랑 쌤 네, 로스 동제 잡지 요래 동제 민다를 좀 저디
So, with regard to the answer, the lady is saying, as to her answer, what is her reasoning for saying that the self exists separately? Well, she can definitely say that her body is not the self. Why? Because if she lost an arm, it would mean that she goes out of existence. If she lost a leg, it doesn't mean she disappears. She's not so sure about her head. If she lost her head, then she says, I don't know, but I will go out of existence. But anyhow, there's a sense that therefore I'm not any of these parts. And also with regard to the mind, the mind itself, oftentimes I do not agree with my own mind. I mean, there is a type of mind that arises, so I don't think that mind itself would be the I. So since neither the I cannot be the body, the I cannot be the mind, so therefore the other solution would be that it does not exist, as in the sense that it doesn't exist in accordance with reality. But then, therefore, because well, there's another possibility that it exists separately from the self, and as she looks for it, when she looks for such a self, she cannot find it. That's why she calls it a demon, because it's something that she cannot really point out. So it's kind of like a demon that cannot be really found. That's why she calls it such.
아니 수보다 샘기 차제 샘다 디저르제네 다 많이 비김생 거랑이 됐으니 바래 다 김제 됐시 따라와 더 레디 대단냠도 아니 풍볼이다 된신비 다메 다디 예비 김생 계시 레마선 다 외메기 토네 다 야나메나 무인데치를 내가 차루래 야나메나 로스 요구래 라바이네야 아니 뭐에서 매일 합시는 되기도 제가 다다이 강버직 다대 하대요 딜러디 삼로디기 토네 소바다 풍부 가수거래 수보다 셈다마 임비 김쟁기 델을 로스 요래라면 다다이 타체 도움이다 김쟁디키 디 김쟁디 마이나 델을 로스 예비 김쟁 다나 세부 참아서 델을 로스 예비 김쟁 직제 니바디 아니 입대세 계시도 딜레 상당히도 아니 다디나시 가장에 라바나시 나경경의 상당히요 말했어 원나 안티미레세디 아니 그의 수보다 셈나 미마레 안타 미디 입대베 로 알라버도 되게 닝낭라 유비 수분나로 유비 계시셔와이나 말라는 어스도 바디 수분나로 유비 서터블라나 어스도 아니 미디 수분나로 유버터브레 아니 랑고디 수분나로 유버터브레 로 아니 조지디 나로로 유버터브 된데레 바티나 신지기 아니 조지기 가버레네 다 조지 마임바다 강기판레디 조지 마임바디 다 그런 경쟁 하고래 디이나 아니 조지세디야 입대버려 다 조지 입대버 라바 차샤 아니 지거지기야네 방레디 키우로 방레디 디체가디 아니 줍시디 말에 디체가디 줍시디 말에 아니야 방레디 입대버려 차서 아니 딜람나 아니 최탐제리다 디지디 상마 이대원은 힘섬 차바이나 섬다요 가르니다 가지 부지 이대와 있는 되기도 계시에스도 다 디는 수부들지는 수부디에 이대어죠 샘들지는 샘디에 이대어죠 상마 이대원은 차바이나 섬다요 가르니다
So with regard to her kind of giving us response that the body is not the self, that the mind is not the self. So this seems she has understood some of the reasoning here for why she's saying that none of those is really the self. But she's saying, well, actually, with regard to there's no self that exists separate from body. So in reality, it cannot therefore be there. We have to say it is not there. But actually, so she's kind of saying that there seems to be something there. She's saying there seems to be something separate, and that is not, she has not really given a reason for why she feels there is something separate from the body. So she has given that possibility that it can't be found, it can't be there at all. But in the end, she seems to imply there is something there, something that is separate, that is kind of hidden. So it seems it's really hidden there, like a self that is hidden there. So what does that actually mean? Like a self that is hidden within your body, a self that is hidden within the mind, and something that she cannot really point at. It seems it's something hidden there. And so that the self exists in a hidden context. As we heard previously, we can't really say that the self is in the body, because that would be absurd. I would exist within the center of the body. The elephant would exist in the center of the elephant. The table would exist in the center of the table. That really doesn't make sense. But if on the other hand, it's kind of something that is there, but it's hiding, we cannot really find it because it's not clearly there, we would have to say everything is hidden. So even the table is hidden. We cannot find the table among its parts, because none of us have not reflection of the parts, then well, it's kind of hidden in there. And then if we take the surface of the table, we take the surface and we say, is it superintendent or it's none of the parts? Well, then it's hidden again. We take half the surface, and again we say, you just say half the surface is hidden within half the surface. So therefore, it's not enough to just say it's really hidden. So it cannot be it cannot be that mind or body exists, or that everything exists as something that is hidden. That is one way.
是这个样子的吗？如果这样子的话，你要推论一切法都躲在他自己里面。那我们我不是我的身，不是我的心。如果你只说我躲在我自己里面，那你如果是这样成立的话，那身躲在身里面，心躲在心里面，一切法都躲在他自己里面，那这样子就变成没有办法讨论了。
但像的书嘛，书给这些的，俺们北京人的写个这个的新旧的，第几对三呢？这个可写了比那样。岁提了列着的写了这个嘛，真不的的，别讲那的写下，可能已经真的跪下的嘛都，岁今真的跪土过嘛的，这是，他别讲那的今真跪当起写了是吧？大家让他落了眼了的，今真的是，其实的真不那个几个人嘛都写了给他带那个接土过嘛，但写了给那个节目特别见起看的的是呢。 로 수르 내고 그런 레 가르스나 남베시샤 레 산지 송샤 빨리 다오트게 송샤 라바이나 디 수도 말어 제산다 디 제발라 아니 로 수르네 알링이라 하기 강사 김전도 마치 출루 김전도 마치 원래 가르레 세지 배 카보여 로 수르네 호비가 땅을 내려도 하고제 14호 제네스 제나 로 수르네 카보여 다 같이 로 수르네 탑시지 진행 아니 뭐네 가르래 세지 삼로지 담바이나 아니 삼로 코르카고 여르디 때지 코르웨이네 디게 소주다 세마 펜주르 직디레 아니 직디 엔 참참라 도쇼기 삼로다니 이미 김제 유엔에 신규 유엔에 삼로 마코나 어느 매비 김제 가르레스 매바디에 다세 매제나 디 수수 제마 탐지 모이는지 이미 잡아요 말 김제 거로 매비 김제 가리요 어디 주에서 나요 다 단뒤에 파게 semno mone suegi di chayen no lola ane chosa tibjan se ta namji ane lama gonjuro so ta ve da duzo jaba chibu yusere semno suegi di kan ki ji yonde sim 그렇게 지금 계시 싫어네.
Here we can give some of the reasonings here, like why it's not more power, right, etc. So really, it's difficult to really call it wisdom. It's actually just remembrance. Why? Because you just remember the reasoning in the scriptures. So just remembering the reasons in the scriptures is not enough. This is not wisdom. This is just remembering what someone else has said. So really, it's important to make one's, to activate one's own wisdom, to really make that active and to be honest and to really go into some kind of deeper kind of way into the subject matter, so to be honest. Surineva, as in like Tibetan word here, kind of means something that affects the mind by way of actively engaging in practice. So not just following Chandrakirti or Nagarjuna, but to be honest and to be sincere in one's approach, not just because it is said in a certain tendencies, and not just because the past told us so, but to really make an effort to go deeper. It seems initially it may seem easy, but when we really go into deeper levels, it becomes much more difficult. So we go deeper and deeper, kind of going through these different reasonings, and sometimes even take the opposite approach. We may take the opposite approach, not just accepting the non-existence of something, but saying, well, if it doesn't exist, what are the reasons? What are the reasons for saying so? So in that way, in order to really be honest, to honestly approach this and honestly practice this such that it has an effect, becomes deeper, what we also need to do is accumulate merit, we need to purify negativities and make requesting prayers. And in that way we're then able to bring forth some transformation, to bring forth some change, to actually change or transform something.
那这两个呢，一般的在许多政治学都会非常强调这两个重点。那如果以后这两个重点做到的话呢，那你所学到的就比较能够真的力量的是真正的入心。
就是你毕竟呢，有的比军事的帮真的拉下来呢，那可能拉不着些的。整个家用过的军事机、军事你了，什么数码了？其实他的各个的心情，虽然你这个什么是快乐都带的接呢，什么当然都去猜。 다 가시를 가유지만 해도 로좀 뭐냐도 제다 된지 고거 라기요 왔다 고거 유행이 강이 뭐되기 파스 부모를 못하려도 요리 요마리 요는 김생 가르도 맨날 김생 가르도 수부 다르베 셈 다르베 바 수신 낸딘치니 제나 안디균의 전랭지 제바이나 데스다 셈내야 소다지 차이 저와제 디레
In the scriptures, there are all these different reasonings that are presented. So one reason gives rise to the next, or one reason is given after the next. But this would be like she kind of just enumerated the different reasonings. So really what we should be doing is to really have a sense of taking it to a deeper level, to really allow the mind to be affected by these different reasonings and to think in a deeper way. Of course, Geshe says, of course I understand that not everyone is able to do this in this time here because you have a lot of classes, you have a lot of study that you have to do and may not have the time or the opportunity to go into that kind of, or to engage in that, into that kind of thinking, this kind of deeper investigation. But to really think, do phenomena exist conventionally or do they not? So is there a spell or not? How does it exist or not? So one should take the opportunity and should think about it deeper in the sense that the mind is really affected and that some deeper notion of sense is generated in the mind. So now we will continue with the discussion as today.
多年到晚上，